Hello, and thank you for your interest in this course. Hi, I'm Steve Ballinger. I'm the creator and instructor for the course, and a longtime, very successful instructor here on Udemy with hundreds of thousands of students from all over the world, over 200 countries. And I have been really leveraging and using ChatGPT to help me with my own personal development, my business development, and developing my business, increasing my productivity. And I think you're going to be amazed at some of the things that you can do with artificial intelligence, specifically ChatGPT AI, in terms of how that can really make an impact for you. If we were to answer the question, well, why should we look at this? Why should we use ChatGPT? Let me give you a couple ideas first before we dive into the course. So first off, it really is going to help you increase your productivity, especially with your writing things or emails, or creating things. That's going to really help you from outlining to helping create new types of documents or new types of things. So you're going to see a lot of different use cases to improve your productivity. Certainly it'll help your writing ability because ChatGPT is going to, it's kind of a language process based where it's going to give you more of a speaking language type of writing style that's going to come back with that you can then adapt. We're not copying and pasting. We're not plagiarizing. We're using this as a tool in an ethical way that help us with our writing. You can also use it to educate yourself real quickly. If you want to learn a subject matter or something real quickly, you can leverage ChatGPT to really start getting you going from zero to being more functional with a particular type of topic by educating yourself real quickly. And that's you're expanding your skill set because you have this, think of like a friend or a person who happens to be a computer friend or person or AI or algorithms, but it's somebody that can give you back information, feedback to help improve your skill set, and you'll see that as we go through. Also specifically, you can use it to help solve problems, like even as much as like hard skill problems from like how to debug a code. If you're a software engineer or developer and you've got some code you're stuck with, you can put that code into GPT and ask it to debug it, and it'll do it for you. Or maybe you're somebody who wants to translate something. ChatGPT can translate documents, and it can do a lot more as you're going to learn in the course. And I have a lot of really interesting best practices and tips so you can get even more out of the course, along with all these other great benefits of using ChatGPT. So in the end, ChatGPT is super fast. Your responses are almost instantaneous. In fact, everything I do in the course is live. There's no speeding up a film or anything. This is how fast it goes, and I think you'll be amazed at that. It's also very easy to use, and this is real focused on using your work life, but you can use it in your personal life too. And I got some personal life things there at the end of the course too for fun, like how to buy a great gardening gift for my wife who's into gardening now, and it ended up helping me to find the best gardening gift ever, something I had never heard of, and helped me with my personal life too. But really the focus will be how can we use this in our business or work life. And think of that again as it's the AI friend you never had, right? It's the artificial intelligence friend who's going to help you be more productive. And I think we're in the early stages of this, and if you're watching this now, you're an early person, maybe an early adopter. It's going to give you a real advantage because this is something that's really starting to really grow quickly, and I think it's going to be really changing for us as a society from it, and also from helping our work-life balance and helping us to be certainly things like more productive as well too. And we'll talk a little bit about there's some ethical issues too, and how this is all about doing everything ethically, but also you'll know about some things to watch out for as well too. So it's a complete course. Feel free to jump around if there's a certain section you want to get into right away. It's like, I really want to learn about blogging and how ChatGPT can help me. Well, just jump to the blogging lesson. That's perfectly fine. Otherwise, you can go straight through the course right from start to finish, and you'll have a total grasp of ChatGPT, the best practices and tips, and how to really implement and use it in your life. So with that, let's get started and really start getting into the course. So let's start by talking about how to log into GPT, look at its interface a little bit, and give you some quick idea of how it kind of works, real basic thing, and then we'll get real deeper and deeper as we go in the course. So to get to ChatGPT and create your account, you want to actually, if you're doing like a Google search, you want to do ChatGPT login here is what you want to do. The reason is if you put just ChatGPT, a lot of times they'll bring you right to just their blog, and you don't have the login at all, and it gets confusing and hard to find. So what you want to do is put in login and find like the login, like I'll say OpenAI is who makes ChatGPT and supports and all that. And then once you click on that, or if you just go to chat.openai.com/authorization login, you're going to get to a screen that looks like this. It can update or change at any time, but basically if you're a user already like I am, you can just log right in, and then if you want to sign up, you just click sign up, and they'll just start asking things like your email and all this. You can see I'm already pretty popular because I already have an account with them, but otherwise you just create your account through that. Pretty simple, pretty easy to do. It's free, at least for now it's free, but that could change at any moment as well. But right now it's free to do, and you'll just ask for username, create a password, simple stuff, right? So I have an account, so I have it up and going already here. So this is what the current ChatGPT interface looks like. It's pretty clean, pretty easy to use. Please understand they're always constantly updating everything. So if it looks a little different, that doesn't mean the course is out of date or anything like that. It's all still current. It just might be how their interface might be evolving and looking. But how you'll use it will be the same, as it just might look a little different. But right now what you see is on the left-hand side, you have these different chats. You can create a new chat or different chats. These are things I've been asking or working with before, so it remembers that. So you can go back to that string of things you've been looking at. So like I was interested in pros and cons of self-managing property. If I want to buy some real estate property, and it gave me back information on pros and cons of that. So I could go back to that and ask some more follow-up questions based on this conversation string. Or if I want to just delete it, I just hit the the trash icon and I could delete that whole string. So that's what this is, and this is a relatively newer feature, so this is actually very, very nice. You can clear conversations, there's a dark mode, there's a Discord group if you're that, updates and FAQs, you can find that here. There isn't too many, but if you want, you can find FAQs and stuff and certainly log out. And then it has this thing where it talks about some examples here. You can see examples from how to ask a 12-year or what to get for a 10-year-old's birthday, all the way up how do I make an HTTP request in JavaScript. And we're going to go through lots of use cases and examples. That's the real guts of the course here. So you'll see all sorts of ways that you can actually really apply this for yourself in a real-world environment. I'll walk you right through how to do it. And some of the capabilities, remembering what it said, and you can build on all those things. And then also some limitations, like that it's based on data that might be a year old or 2 years old. You'll keep updating that all the time. But understand it's not really designed to tell you how late is my favorite pizza restaurant open today. That's something like you could get out of a Google search. It's going to be more about more of those deeper type questions, not necessarily deeper, but questions that are more universal type questions versus something that might be a more recent type thing or something that's happened today or in this moment. And then lastly, the main part of ChatGPT, really what you're going to use is right down here, right where this little arrow thing is. Again, they could move this to a different part of the screen. But right here where you see my blinking cursor, that's where all the magic happens. That's where you would, ask your questions, whatever you want to do, like how to make pizza, right? And you could just ask it that, pizza. And then it'll answer your question. So I'll hit enter. And this is all in real time, by the way. I'm on my my home internet Wi-Fi. Kids streaming stuff upstairs. So this is about as slow as it's ever going to go. And here it's giving me a recipe on how to make homemade pizza. Now I might want to build on that and ask more detailed questions, like maybe I want a certain type of pizza, like a thin crust pizza or a deep dish pizza, whatever it might be. You can see it's giving me the instructions and everything on how to do that, right? How to make this pizza. So that's an idea. I'm sure that's fascinating watching how to make pizza. We're going to get into more work type stuff here. And so we're going to go back to our ChatGPT and we're going to start looking at some use cases and some practical tips. I'm going to start with and give you some really great ideas and some tips that will really help you to really get the most of it here coming right up. Okay, I'm going to start by giving you some great hot tips and best practices for using ChatGPT. So as you start asking your own questions and engaging in your own conversations with ChatGPT, the things you're going to learn in this quick little lesson here are going to be ways that you can get even more out of it no matter what you're asking for. And these are some really great hot tips and best practices I've been using, and it's really, really made a big difference. So let's use an example, and I'm going to walk you through some of these tips that you can do. And for our example, let's say your boss comes to your office and says, this is your boss talking now, and says, I've been reading this stuff about Enneagrams, and they're like these assessment tests or whatever for team members or employees. Could you research Enneagrams and in like 2 hours kind of give me your viewpoints on Enneagrams and whether we should adopt it to the office, and what are your overall thoughts, and how do they even work and all that? How does this personality test work? And can you get that to me in 2 hours? Come by my office 2 hours, let's discuss. Have a great day, right? And that's your boss coming to you. And first, you might have two initial thoughts. One is, why do I work here? Why do I have this crazy boss that's asking about Enneagrams? And then your second question might be like, what is an Enneagram? I've got to give a report on this or a presentation. Maybe it's written. Maybe I've got to be able to talk about it. I don't even know what an Enneagram is. So let's say that you have no idea what an Enneagram. I bet you don't. Maybe you do. If you do, good for you. But we're going to find out what an Enneagram is, and we're going to look at these tips. The idea is the tips to show you how you can use ChatGPT, not what Enneagrams are. This is the question we're going to ask GPT, and then we're going to focus on the tips. All right, so here I am at ChatGPT, and I'm going to ask it about Enneagrams, right? So I'm going to go down to where I ask my questions, and I'm going to say, what is an Enneagram? Maybe I had to look that up on how to spell that. See, I got the wrong spelling, or maybe it doesn't even recognize the spelling. But the nice thing about ChatGPT can actually, fix your, understanding if you spell things wrong sometimes, a lot of times. So what is an Enneagram? And maybe you heard from your boss that was like some type of personality testing or whatever. In fact, I'm going to misspell personality wrong. I'm going to misspell test wrong too. Let's see how it does. So if it figures out from that what I'm actually trying to ask it. So I have no idea if it's going to come through or not, but here it comes. See how fast it is? This is, again, in real time on my Wi-Fi at home, not a fast network at all. So it's giving me information. The Enneagram is a personality typing system that identifies 9 distinct personality types. So this is all about personality testing and all that. And it talks a little bit more about how it's used and other things there. Just a short little thing on Enneagram. See how it's added to my chat over here too as well as a new thing in my chat. And I can read through this and I can find it about strengths and weaknesses and all that. All right, so let's say I have this and I'm not real happy with it, or I'm not sure if this is really helpful for me. The first tip is simply, there's a button here that says regenerate response. I can just have it try again. It's really just starting over and trying again. And it's going to give me it's going to give it to me in a different way, right? Similar but different. Here it talks about 9 different types. So maybe I want to find out more about that. I'm going to show you how to do that too. So here it's going to talk about this Enneagram tests, online and print, blah, blah, blah. And what you'll see up here too, see where it says 2 of 2? I could go back to the previous answer here and see what the first answer was, and I can go back to the second answer and start picking up from there, because it's remembering what I'm doing and it's building on that, right? So the first tip is you can use to regenerate a response. But maybe what I want to do is, maybe I just need even more information. So I could just simply say, if you want to be polite, I'm polite, right? So can you expand on this? Well, what's this? Well, it's basically expanding what they did. So that's tip number 2, is if you get something that seems like a short, it's too short or doesn't give you enough information, you can ask it and it'll say things like, certainly, it's very pleasant. The Enneagram is a psychological system, all this. And it'll give you more information, or maybe, as far as building that out more as this processes through here, because we're doing this all in real time. So you can regenerate responses, or you can just simply ask it to expand and give you information. Here it's talking about how there's different Enneagram tests available, what they're designed for, and all that, and about feelings. This is something that I don't believe was in the first answer, so now this is building on that. The next tip is to take, that's writing, is to take something that's been written and then just build off that. So it talks about that there's 9 different types, right? You might get that where it says there's 8 of this or 4 of that. So maybe you take that and you put that in there. Remember, this is all in an Enneagram chat around personality tests. And I might say, what are the, do you remember copy paste? No. What are the 9 types? Right? So now it's like, what is this? What are these 9 types? So the 9 Enneagram types are, and now it's going to tell me about these different 9 types. Might give me a little bit of a detail or a little bullet point list, for example, right? So you got the perfectionist, you got the helper, the achiever. As you read through this, you can see these are the different 9 types of Enneagrams. Now think about your crazy boss asked you for stuff. You could be Google searching, you could be trying to piece this all together. Right now, this is all coming out. This is stuff that you can use and adapt into a written report if you want for your boss, or pop them a quick email. Say the Enneagram is a personality test. It's based on this, and there's 9 types. Here are the 9 types. And, that might be all the boss needs at that moment, right? So here we are, number 8, number 9. So the next tip is, let's say it didn't put it in bullet points. You can actually ask it to put something in bullet points. So if I was like up in here and I said, could you make this all into bullet points, it would do that and basically turn things like that into more of an easier to read bullet point list. Maybe we'll try that in a moment. But for now, we've already got our bullet points. But maybe let's say like, ooh, I know somebody in my office who's a perfectionist. I could say, can you tell me more about point number 1, all right? And now it'll go into more about that particular point, about the perfectionist. It's not giving me the other points. I asked for point number 1. And see how simple that was, how quick I just typed that in? I mean, I'm just doing this all on the fly here, right? But now it gets into more details about that point. Type 1s are responsible, moral, orderly, all this. This is just giving me a little bit more on that, and I could ask it to expand on that. Or I could say, could you expand on all the points in there as well? And they would expand on all the points. See, this is, getting me even more information. They're driven by strong sense of purpose, drive, whatever. That's number 1, the perfectionist, right? But let's say I wanted to could you, another top tip is ask for examples. Sometimes they'll give you lists and you want to get examples. So could you give me an example of someone who is a number 2, right? And I intentionally left that wrong because I can't type. But they knew, so certainly here's an example. Even though Steve can't type, ChatGPT can, So this is a number 2, right? So here is an example. Now let's go back up. Number 2 is the helper, right? So they're empathetic, caring, and supportive, right? So here is an example of well, what do we mean by the helper? And here it is. Jane is a kind and compassionate person, and Jane is driven by this. I mean, Jane is not a real person, but you might help. By asking in this manner might help you understand someone who's in your office, maybe on this type of personality test. So asking for examples. So the tip is not. Again, this has nothing to do with Enneagrams. This has everything to do with how to get more out of the program and asking it for things. In addition, let's say you want to turn this into a blog, right? Maybe you want to turn this into a blog article. You can just take it right from here, what you're doing, just say, could you write, and we're going to get into blogs and stuff, but could you write a blog about Enneagrams, right? Is it going to get that? I type so bad? Certainly, here's a blog post about the Enneagram. What is the Enneagram, right? So this might be something that I could use in my email to my boss, or I could, put it together and start as a part of a report where I'm going to add into it. So maybe I'm taking this general knowledge, and then I'm going to put in specifics, like this is what the Enneagram is, and then I might add into, without doing the test, I think Jane is this, and Tom is this, and Samir is number 2. I believe I'm a number 7, which is the whatever, and go into each of these different, 9 points again. But this is like a written blog post that you can use and expand on as far as an outline or an idea behind that. In fact, as we get into the blog thing later, you can even use it to help with like titling and those types of things too. So we'll do that here in a moment as this keeps going through. So, but the main idea is that, using these tips of keeping to generate more content, more things that might be out there as far as that you want to learn. And this is a pretty good long blog post. It was a little bit longer than I wanted it to be. But let's say, I wanted a title for this blog post. I could ask it, could you give, well, it's right in there, me 5 titles for this blog. Okay. Oh wow, this is like God's gift to blogs. Look at this thing go, right? I mean, here we're wrapping up finally. I guess I asked it too broad of a thing actually. Blog. Now I'm going to say, just give me 5 titles. Give me 5 title ideas for the blog. Because sometimes you're just trying to generate ideas, and that's the last hot tip, is using ChatGPT to give you things like titles or generate ideas or things of that nature as well. So thought about a little bit. Now here's 5 blog titles. Now I could try to really think of different things, brainstorm stuff, whatever, but I could look at these 5 titles for whatever it is. Maybe I'm writing a report or a subject line for an email, whatever it might be, and I could ask it for some potential titles or ideas. So here's our titles: Understand the Enneagram, Discover the True Self, the Enneagram, a tool for personal and professional growth. Now I'm gonna get, this is a nice, if you're doing, if you're actually writing a blog and you want something to be more clickbaity or more click-oriented, or something to generate interest, like navigating the 9 Enneagram types is kind of like, oh, what are the types? How do I navigate that? Maybe I add on to it, maybe I take the 9 Enneagram types and then I add on, discover your true self or something like that, or I just come up with my own creative stuff. So that's the idea behind these hot tips, some initial hot tips, and a really quick kind of overview on how it works too as well, as far as how you can use it to start generating content or generating ideas, and then building on that, you know, would be the idea behind that. All right, so let's keep going with the course. And these are some hot tips. Now we're going to look at some, you know, some more detailed stuff as we keep going through.